Hey, buddy. Another episode of Houston's Hustle Hobbies. This is a show where I talk about all the ways that I make and save money because at the end of the day, hustling is my hobby. So, according to my research, a guy named Edward Bernays is the father of propaganda and, more importantly, American consumerism. That is the notion that people buy what they want instead of what they need and on a more frequent basis. The psychological trick that you are somehow less than your neighbors if you don't have the same brand as him was made by this guy Bernays. By the way, Sigmund Freud, the shrink, the person who figured out the way humans tick, that was his uncle. So for a box of cigars, Freud gave him a pre-published book on the human psyche, which he used against pretty much everybody. Even so, going so far as to call the common man dopes and suckers. You can accredit shopping malls, department stores, all because of Bernays and this consumerist culture. And the reason why I tell you about Edward Bernays is because his teachings or his psychology has helped America become the debt-riddled culture that it is. You and I have some form of debt, whether it be student loan, credit card, card payment debt, or home mortgage debt. We go into more debt to shop at places like H&M and Primark and any other of these fast fashion clothing stores that have popped up in recent times. Now, I tell you that to tell you this. When I grew up, I was very, very poor. I remember getting most of my Christmas stuff from thrift stores and flea markets. In fact, I knew the guy that I got most of my stuff from. His name was Trevor's. He had a nice thrift store, and I knew him by his first name. Now, I got laughed at and teased a lot when I was a kid for wearing like holy clothes and all types of different things, but I always knew that those clothes would last, because when I did get nice clothes, like I got some nice Guess jeans at some point, I noticed I wore them out in about the same time that I would wear out an already pretty much mostly worn out pair of pants. So I learned very early that just because you had a high quality name, the material was pretty much the same as the generic brand. Which brings me to this term austerity. I love the term austerity because it means a form to me of delayed gratification. You see, back in the early 1900s and early 1910s, people bought things that they needed and things lasted for much longer. And that has all but gone by the wayside. So I think, styles are cyclical in 100-year increments. So I think as the 2030s loom, the sort of depressionist era is going to come back to us, and we need to make the word austerity sexy again. We need to delay our gratification. And for that, I have 3 simple things that I do, that I practice, that will help in saving money, and hopefully you're investing that money and delaying that gratification so older you can have a nice and easy time. Rule 1, whatever you buy, make sure it lasts more than a day. So this eliminates all things like McDonald's fast food or fast food in general, any kind of fast restaurant fashion. As Dave Ramsey says, any food that you have to go outside for is not sustenance, it's entertainment. I bought this bottle last week just after my Dave Matthews concert, and I've been using it every day since. Wash, rinse, repeat. Rule number 2, remember the rule of 5. If you can't afford 5 of something, then you can't afford 1 of it. Case in point, if you buy a stick of chewing gum and you have $100 in your bank account, you can afford roughly 50 packs of gum, so it's okay to buy that gum. But if you want something like a PlayStation 5, which costs about $500 or $600, I don't even know, and you only have $800 in your bank account, then you can't afford that PlayStation 5. You need to wait until you have at least $3,000 in your bank account before you can even think about getting that PlayStation 5. Rule number 3. Learn to derive joy from things that don't cost money. National parks are free, Netflix and Prime Video aren't. Riding your bike to the store is free, using your car isn't. The library is free, Audible isn't. I think you get my point here. I've been completely debt-free for a while now, and I've enjoyed the option to work as much as I want. I've enjoyed not having to go to work, not the stresses of having bills. I don't have a lot of money, but I don't have a lot of debt. So I know that I just need to make a very small amount per week to keep my lifestyle going. It's more of a like a pendulum, or not a pendulum, a flywheel. I just kind of kick it a little bit occasionally to keep it moving. And it works like this in terms of traveling too. Don't book that plane ticket to Cancun with the expensive hotel, or Jamaica with the people who want to braid your hair for $100. Take a drive up to Vermont and see the fall foliage. It's so much cheaper, and it's so much more rewarding, it's so much more educating, and so much more relaxing. Of course, the trip thing is just my opinion. But I will say, if you do a trip, you do something big, like say if you want to go to France, you learn French for a year and spend a month there if you can afford that. That's the way you take a trip, not a 2-week money grab to Paris that's going to cost you $10,000. Go to Mars Isle or Calais and spend time in a cheap, whatever the equivalent of Motel 6 or Super 8 is. Rent a bike out in France and just kind of enjoy that city. But anyway, I don't want to ramble. I just wanted to bring awareness to austerity, which I think everyone will need in the very near future. Anyway, thanks for listening to me. I've been Patrick Houston from Houston's Hustle Hobbies. And as always, live high, live mighty, live righteously. Take it easy.